Good morning, everyone. My name is Christian from Two-Headed Wolf Gaming, and welcome back to Path of Exile, where we play our Elementalist witch. Well, not yet an Elementalist witch, but she will be. But we're using the Arc skill, and we had a really rocky break in the last episode because we managed to find ourselves a Veil Arc, a corrupted gem that also has this Veil Arc skill, which will be very useful against bosses. You will see the amount of damage that we'll be able to do. It's really good. We found one of the pieces from the puzzle that we need. We will want a higher quality one later on in the game. When basically we'll want the higher quality ones when we get towards the end game, and we're trying to get just that extra 1% or 5% or getting more and more damage. In short, let's see, what do we have here? We have the orbs of fusing. We got 540 out of this ritual, so we're gonna continue this. You can see that the map has resetted since the last episode. I took a break, warmed myself some coffee, and hopefully this time I will drink it before it gets cold, but if I don't, then that is fine as well. I'll tell you next time when I'm using this Veil Arc, just so you can watch the amount of damage it does and understand why it's useful for us. In a sense, I am guessing that for the bosses that have minions surrounding them, I don't think anybody will be able to stop us. I think we'll be able to do so much damage here and support so much. That it's not really gonna be difficult to defeat those bosses. Not that we'll have to see as we go along. At this moment I'm just assuming that that is the case, because I feel pretty strong, but early game you always feel pretty strong. You need to find a bunch of items in order to truly make it through Path of Exile. Okay, another ritual. We can buy ourselves these orbs of fusing. Let's get to this ritual site as well. Already getting some good damage on our arc with the few levels that we have. Should probably throw in another point soon from the level up with the passive skill. And look at this skill. We just have to sit still and it goes around the corners. Of course, sitting still in Path of Exile is not necessarily a good idea. Maybe we can afford it right now, but in the future we can't just sit still, because there are some attacks that are absolutely terrible. Okay, 1800. Well, we can pick a few things. 69 defense there. We can get the resistances, but a Regal Orb is slightly better than the Orbs of Fusing. They're even rarer. I guess we'll take this. I'm gonna defer the Regal Orb for the future. And then, is the energy shield worth the situation? I guess I'll take this circlet here, replace it there. It's about 100 energy shield, but I think I'll accept that as it is. Okay, I'm very curious in this build, and I'll have to check out how do we balance out the strength that we need and the dexterity we need. because I only saw like these two nodes, strength and dexterity. Probably the amulet will be one that will give us strength and dexterity. I'm guessing that that is the case. We're getting our first added lightning damage. Okay. Just a freezing shrine here. I'm guessing that that's probably the entrance into the level. We need to explore the chambers of sin, and for that we need to get to level 2. So this is where we came from. Then that's where we're going to. Perfect. Chamber of Sin level 2. Once again, we don't need to go through the Ascendancy trial, at least for the first level of Ascendancy, as I have done it before. This is pretty cool about the trials of Ascendancy, that on every league, on every type of league, you only have to play it once. Then it unlocks for all your other characters, because the first time you play it, it might be fun, like to remind you every league, every few months that this exists. But after that, it's just the repetitive tasks that it's not as fun. More energy shield, more fire resistance. I think I like that. More fire and cold resistances. Oh, we're getting a bunch of... Let's see, energy shield, lightning. We're getting a bunch of good items for us. Let's see, anything I can throw here. The velvet slippers, let's get these. Gonna replace those gloves. Let's see, blue, green, green, please. Nope. I guess it didn't work this time. But let's continue exploring the area. See if the next ritual sites will unlock something that's even more cool. This one offers energy shields to the enemies. It's a shrine that blesses, I guess you could say, the enemies with energy shields. The thing about energy shield, what they do is provide you like an extra pool of life that is quicker to regenerate. It's like an extra layer of defense on top of your own health pool. That is pretty useful. But the thing is with this type of defense is that chaos damage pierces through. So chaos damage basically not disables, but ignores the energy shield and gets straight into your health pool. You have to be very careful with that. You need a secondary way in which you could mitigate the damage received, either by having a flask that will add resistances to chaos damage, or something else. Maybe armor, maybe evasion to avoid the damage. We will have to think about this long term. Or better yet, we'll have to use the guide long term. Another layer of defense is for us will be caused by the chills, the ability to slow enemies down. You might not always think about it like that, but it is a layer of defense. If the enemy can only attack you very slow, it giving you enough time to, you know, use one of these skills and get out of the way.
Too much clutter.
Then that is a pretty good layer of defense. That is better than anything else, because armor removes some of the damage that you receive when you're getting attacked. The evasion gives you a chance to evade some of the attacks, right? Every few attacks you will definitely get hit, depending on the type of monsters. And the energy shield, I guess it just offers you an extra layer of life on top of that. But actually not getting hit is even better. Thus there is the skill, there is the dodge skill in this game. We also had the potions, right? That increases our dodge. And that is better than you might think at first. Yeah, I don't care for anything else here, so. I guess we're finally finding Helena?
That thing! It slaughtered everyone! Help me!
Yes, yes. Take a look at the boss. So we're gonna use a bit of lightning damage here on this beast. I'm gonna apply arc damage now. You see the Veil arc, like how much it took out of him? It really caused that shock to apply. And with shock applying, it really makes a situation where you're always providing or doing more damage to the enemies. And that is quite useful, as you might imagine.
Going?
Okay. Now we don't have space. Let's make space first. I'll throw this circlet in the uniques department. What will you provide me with? Herald of Thunder. That's what we need. And that's about it. So let's take Herald of Thunder. I guess we could throw it... Maybe I'll throw it in here. Arc Onslaught. Would really love to get some more cold damage there.
The spirit is strong.
Do we have... this one? Arcane Surge is now at level 8. We need to be careful on our next level up, not to continue the process. Because you can see now that the Arcane Surge support will apply when you spend 41 mana with the supported skill. This one, right now, consumes 11 mana. Which is pretty low. That means that the Arcane Surge support right now, it doesn't apply at all. How much do we get from the Frost Bomb? Frost Bomb uses 8 mana. That's little. So let's see, can we get this down by a level? I think this one removes all the levels from it, right? Yes, and I will want only one to be removed. So we'll keep this for the future. Identifying, we want this. 1 to 4, 7% chance to freeze, 1 to 4 fire damage to spells. It's okay, but it's not better than what we have. We really need to find ourselves a health potion that can cure bleeding. Let's see, cold resistances. We need some better rings as well.
If we dream big,
let's sell everything we've collected here. The ground slam is something that we want to keep. I am going to keep the wand as well. the unique one.
Be kind, if you can.
And we'll just throw these in here. A chain hook. You know, I think at this point I am going to start using or taking out some of the items that I've gained last time in our last run. Oh, they're not too impressive, but they'll be okay. So I've got this unique one. I have this cold ring, like look at this. That's why in a way I regretted that I couldn't continue it last time. 27% cold resistance, 28% fire resistance, 16% increased burning damage, 40% cold damage converted to fire, and 10 increased light radius. Plus ignited enemies, you hit or destroyed on killed. That means they don't create bodies, so exploding bodies doesn't do anything. And then we have this talisman that I got from a ritual. In 29% increased spell damage, that is so much better than what we have now. Other than that, we have some flasks here that I am going to take. This will just improve our level up a bit to get closer to the end of the game in a quicker fashion. It doesn't add a whole lot, but you know what? I think it is also important to speed it up. Because in the long run, it's the end game that will really matter. Everything that you've seen so far is about the same. I won't be keeping any of the other things that we have. Let's see. We'll replace this one with this one. And that's about it.
Yes?
This is something that I want to keep. Let's see if this adds anything to us.
Remember to live.
Might not. And what are we using? We're using the Arc. And we don't have enough strength for the Onslaught. Do we want to keep using Onslaught? I guess we do. Arc really doesn't add anything, does it? Huh. I really thought it would, but it doesn't. Oh, we're looking at defense. Man, I'm such a doofus sometimes. Okay, I guess it's better than this one. It does offer us a little extra attack. And this one doesn't help? Does it help here? No. This one requires strength and dexterity. This one is at level 3 and we can't use it. Maybe if we take... I'm not sure this is really... I mean, it's definitely not the best way to use currency. But I am curious to see, if I do this and bring it to level 1, will we be able to use it? And the answer is yes. Then the next one, go for Onslaught at level 1? I think so. So let's see, what would be the best for this situation, for Arc? Added cold damage is 222. Is that such a big difference? I think Onslaught has a better situation. And in the Frost Bomb right now, we're gonna add the cold damage. As you can see, it increases it in the situation by a lot. And we'll remove the explosive. Maybe we'll place it here. I'm gonna bring the Herald of Thunder into our secondary slots. Okay, well, in theory, we're doing better. We can travel to the crypt now for a secondary quest, and we'll do so. The cool thing about Herald of Thunder, it grants a buff which adds lightning damage to spells and attacks, and it does this. So it does 1 to 51 lightning damage at this level. It reserves 25% of our mana. The buff grants 2 to 9 added spell lightning damage to our own attacks. Creates a storm when you kill an enemy, a shocked enemy. So a shocked enemy. Which means the Veil Arc will be super useful here, because when we apply that it has a 100% chance to shock enemies, and thus the storm will start. The storm hits an enemy every 0.25 seconds, and the buff grants 2 to 9 added lightning attack damage, but that's on attacks. And we're using spells, we're using cast, okay? I'm gonna change this attack to move only, just so we have an easier time to run around and not get stuck on enemies when we click an attack on them. Let's add this. I'm gonna keep adding the onslaught now on top. And we'll see how all of this works. A chaos orb, nice. We're getting that onslaught for the buff in attack speed especially. Let's go with that. As you can see, there's now lightning falling from the sky. That's a secondary attack that we have now. A regal orb. Okay, that's about it for now. Let's try to get to the next ritual site.
Ready and not before.
Yeah, it's just now that this build starts to feel once again very strong. And we're not done, we're just beginning to get to its full strength. We're using only a free link. So let's see what we get out of it. Let's throw the arc there. The Veil Arc. We're getting a lot of tribute out of this. Nice. Let's see, what do we have here now? There's one more ritual site remaining. We could even buy some orbs of alchemy. I'm not sure what these two are, but we're gonna look for them. We found ourselves another veiled area. So I wanna go here. You probably saw the Herald of Thunder before, like if you've watched my extra episodes when the events started at the end of the last league. I had the archers do the same thing with the lightning bolt, but we had lightning arrows. That was a really fun character to play. I might do again a lightning based archer, or maybe a frozen arrow one. We'll have to see in time. But all of these builds feel really cool. They're really well thought out. I'll remind you once again that this build is created by TbXie. And it's written TbXie. So look him up. See if you can find some builds from him that you like as well. He does a pretty good job at explaining how his builds work. And he's still active in updating the builds. Like, he has updated them. When I first saw them, which was at the end of the last league, I thought that I would have to update it myself, like with the new reworks that Good Girl Grinding Games that did. But TbXie is active and he made some updates to the build already. It's definitely his guy definitely needs slightly more rework, at least in the path of build. But all of that requires experimenting. You can't just assume that you'll pick some changes. It's easier when you look at on the ascendancy.
Too much clutter.
To decide whether you want to go, like where you want to allocate those 8 points in the ascendancy. But other than that, in these 3, you'll have to rework everything around the new changes, the new item, whether an item would be more useful for this build than another. Okay, I didn't find the ritual site, though our visibility range might not be that big to where we can see it. Yeah, it doesn't look like the ritual site is somewhere in here. Probably somewhere in that big column there. Do we want to explore it? I think this time yes, because we gained a lot of tribute. So I think it's a bit of a loss. There are many rounds where we only get like a few hundreds, like 200, 300. It's rare that we get 1,000. So I'll explore a tiny bit more of the map before we go into the crypts. Shiny ruby ring, lightning, fire, and 1 maximum shield. Cast speed, spell damage. Okay.
Too much clutter.
Let's go home. Increased cast speed, that is pretty good for us.
The spirit hunts with you.
Yeah, we'll sell some of these. Yeah, this as well.
Stay true to you.
Straight through to you. We're going to gems as well. Throw in blue in the blue. I've done this reorganizing outside of the league. So I went into the normal league and I started reorganizing everything that we have in here. So I have maps and fragments and all this stuff. I have a few stashes that they're not unique, so I can't really customize them, their names and stuff like that, or put them in order. I've upgraded a few to where I can call them like red, blue and green. I like that. So we're gonna work with the stashes that we have available at the moment. I'll take this. I don't see the ritual site. Is it all the way here?
When I'm ready and not before.
Yep. Monsters gain energy shield based on life. Auto restores monsters energy shield. Okay. With this character right now, we're doing lightning damage, we're doing cold damage, and I have the traps which do fire damage as well. Not sure traps count, but there's a new support skill that is pretty cool. You'll discover an area with Infernal Tempest, we don't care. An Imp Crown. Socketed skills supply fire, cold, and lightning exposure on hit. Minus 10% to all elemental resistances. Oh. This is another one of those new items. Mana, rarity, some resistance increases. No, I think I want to try it out at least. Let's buy it. And I'll defer these first. Can I defer anything else? No. We'll defer the Regal Orb. And let's see, what do we need here? We need some strength as well. Okay. But that might be a really cool item to have. I think right now we can take the -2 resistances. It's not that big of a deal. But later on the game, it's definitely going to be a lot more challenging to keep our resistances capped. For endgame, you always want capped resistances, at least the elemental ones. If you can do something about the chaos, well, that is very useful, but it's generally very hard to get some chaos resistance. But the elemental ones you definitely need, otherwise you'll be killed by normal mobs, or, you know, table mobs. But that's all the time that we have for this particular episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode tomorrow. Until then, I wish you all a wonderful day.